Hey there, everybody. This is Deb Matlock from Wild Rhythms, and I am coming to you today to discuss a topic that is really near to my heart and also something I think is really important for all of us who are nature connection practitioners of any kind to kind of tune into and consider. And that is that right now in the world, there is such a beautiful movement of nature connection practice. There's so much interest. There are so many people yearning for opportunities to explore their own nature connection. I've, in my 25 years of working in nature connection programming, I've never seen so many different ways that it's being offered. You know, different education programs, different certification programs. There's more coaches and counselors doing nature-based work and immersions. There's more teachers taking students outside. I've even seen restaurants and dental offices offering pieces for their clients around how they can connect to their natural parts of themselves in relation to whatever work they're doing. It's really amazing and it's really exciting, and it's what I personally think the world needs. It needs all the different ways that everybody's doing nature connection. You know, so many of the movements we see right now fluctuate. You know, they come in, they kind of are trendy for a while, and then they fall away. But at the core of them, at the foundational level, the need for humans to understand their relationship, their ecological selves, and their sense of being part of this amazing wild world is ancient and necessary, and it will continue. It's I think it's going to continue to be a profound need as we as a species try to figure out how to live on this planet in a way that is respectful and harmonious and sustainable, not only for ourselves but for all of life that needs the same things that we do. You know, as of we look around in nature connection right now, there are movements like deep immersion work and forest bathing, forest therapy. Earthing came out for a while and kind of hit with a bang, and survival or primitive skills have kind of come up into being trendy and more popular and then faded away and then come back up again. Oftentimes, whether or not there's a TV show that people are interested that are focusing on those sorts of things. I've seen more ecotherapeutic modalities and more opportunities than I've ever seen before. There's a lot of mindfulness in nature and meditation and nature movements. And I could go on and on. The list of really exciting parts of this movement that are needed and that are available to us as practitioners. And there's another piece to this story. And that is that as practitioners, we really need to go beyond our modalities. We need to go beyond the latest trend. We need to go beyond the certification program that we did that told us how to do something one way. You know, those things all are really important, and they can be part of our buffet of offerings or our toolbox of offerings. But for us to be able to make careers and really dig into the world of nature connection and really get our feet under us and make a big difference throughout our lifetimes, we kind of need to trend proof ourselves and our businesses a little bit. And in a way, doing so also, I think, kind of helps us guard against becoming, you know, nature being commodified and being used for human purposes. I think if we look at ourselves as practitioners as an ongoing changing part of ecology, you know, it's like almost like we're a little ecological system nested in other ecological systems and nested in even bigger systems, you know, to use an ecological principle here. You know, we have at our fingertips opportunities. And so one of the opportunities is to sort of, I think, whenever we put work out there, we need to ask the first question is, what does the earth need me to do? Does the earth need this kind of work, or should I create something different? Does the earth need more of this thing over here that's really resonating, or is it time to sort of leave that behind and morph into something else? But the earth is going to continue to need from us to be conscious, aware, respectful, empathic, empathetic, compassionate. And so we need to be ready as practitioners to respond to that. We've also got to be ready to respond to what our clients and participants are needing. You know, I can say, for example, you know, I've been doing this stuff for going on 3 decades, but the pandemic, the clients that I was working with were needing something different than they were people that I was interacting with before the pandemic. You know, it forced me as a practitioner to say, okay, I've got to look at what people are coming forward with and asking for, and then say, how can I meet that? How can I be there? People were wanting to connect more to their home communities. They were feeling vulnerable about being so connected that we had a global pandemic that was spreading through the species with very little concern for who, what, when, where, why, or how. All of these things are to the table, and as nature connection practitioners, we have got to be resilient and adaptable, to use another ecological set of principles, for our entire careers. We've got to be able to see what's going on, ask the deep questions, not what do I want to do, but what do I need to do? What's the responsible thing? What's the way that I can contribute the most right now? And how does that fit in with my skill set, my buffet of certifications, perhaps, or work that I've created myself and that I'm offering? Is it still relevant? Is it not? I've created a lot of work myself over the years. Some of it I still do, and some of it I don't anymore. It was relevant 20 years ago, and it's woven itself into what I offer today, but it's different. It's not called the same thing. I don't offer it the same way. We've got to make ourselves very adaptable and ready to respond. I think another piece of that is acknowledging that as ecological beings ourselves, our eco selves, our eco spiritual selves are always changing. And we are also living in this world that is changing. We are also experiencing our own growth and our own connection to the natural world as it shifts and grows and challenges us. And so we need to be able to show up fully as ourselves as well. So again, if I look at my own journey, 20 years ago, I was a different ecological being in a lot of ways than I am today. I mean, certainly there were some things. Yeah, I needed air, food, water, light. I needed some things that I still need, but I'm a different person. I'm a different person personally, and I'm a different person professionally. And my work needs to reflect that so that I can show up authentically. I cannot continue to do something the way that I did it 20 years ago, or the way that somebody taught me to do it, 10 years ago. It's like it has to be living and breathing, just like we as practitioners are. I think another important piece of us being kind of growing as practitioners, trend proofing our work, and really being resilient and adaptable, is to continue to educate ourselves philosophically, theoretically. What is the work that supports what we're doing? Not just I'm doing this, people like it, I'm going to go out and lead this program. Great, like people like it, it's got some value. But we as practitioners need to say, what is it foundationally underneath this that's supporting it? Why are people responding? And the reason I bring this up is because I know personally, every time I have expanded my knowledge of theoretical understanding of nature connection, whether it's digging deeply into something, eco psychology, whether it's digging into ecological identity work, whether it's understanding just some of what's out there around human and nature connection and bond, it's changed me as a practitioner. I've grown, I've expanded, I've begun to interact differently with people. So I think this is it's a fun area, but where we can grow our entire lifetimes is to just say, what do I need to learn about? Like I heard a cool phrase that, someone mentioned the word ecofeminism. What's that? Okay, let me go check into that. So like letting ourselves kind of be tuned towards that lifelong learning ethic, and knowing that we're never going to know everything, but we should also never stop trying to know. We should also never stop trying to learn. And in the same vein, continuing to grow as naturalists. One of my personal goals for myself is to every year know more about the wild beings and the plants and the places where I work than I did before, to constantly be learning. And as a naturalist, every time we learn a little bit, it kind of opens the door to 1,000 questions we didn't even know to ask before. And so committing ourselves to growing as naturalists, to continuing to learn about the plants, the animals, the places where we live and work, I think is not only really rich and fun and exciting for us, I think it's a ethical need as nature connection practitioners. For example, if we don't know the dangerous plants in the area where we're taking somebody, like where I live, we have a lot of poison ivy. If I didn't know what poison ivy looks like in all of its seasons throughout the year, and I'm taking people on hikes into areas with poison ivy, I'm being negligent. I need to be able to know some basic things. Now, we're not going to know everything. That's not possible. Like I just said a minute ago, the natural world is going to continue to surprise us. There's always more to learn, but understanding some of the basics, not only the things that we need to make sure we're keeping our people safe from, But also just, if I'm leading a hike in the middle of July and there's certain flowers blooming, I'm going to learn a little bit about those flowers before I go out, because people are going to ask, they're going to want to know. And part of that person's connection to nature, might be supported by me being able to share a little bit or help them find out more a little bit about that flower. So we need to not only be sensory awareness focused or counseling focused, therapeutically focused practitioners, but we've also got to be learning about the places ourselves so that we can share it. It's a really important piece. So that goes with that resilience and adaptability, because our places change, different things happen. Where I live now, we've got ticks, for example, at a lower elevation than we've ever had in my lifetime. And I've lived in the Front Range of Colorado my entire life. Ticks are coming into lower elevations. Climate change is happening. Things are changing. And as a naturalist, I need to understand these things so that I can responsibly take people outdoors, but also so I can share this with others. And along that line of working with others, facilitation skills, they don't end after a 1 week training or a 1 year training. They're also lifelong. I have to say that I feel like every new group of people I work with, I learn new things about facilitation. And this has been the case for my whole career. And I fully expect that it will continue to be. I also look for ways to grow as a facilitator, when there are new issues and things coming up. How can I continue to expand my understanding of working with the people that I work with? How can I be better at it? How can I be, more inclusive? How can I be more sensitive to certain needs? How can I understand how to facilitate for different kinds of experiences? This is something that we grow, and it grows with us. So I think that's another piece of sort of trend proofing our businesses, is continuing to grow these parts of ourselves, because then we're always going to be facilitating differently in response to what the world needs and what our clients need. And our work is going to constantly be changing and refreshing itself. So, I mean, basically, the piece of this, which I've already said, is we just have to be resilient and adaptable. We've got to be that part of our ecological selves to do really good, creative, innovative nature connection work. We can take all of our trainings, we can respond to the trends, we can work where we feel called. And I think we need to stand with open hearts and open minds, and a place of humbleness, that there's not any one thing any of us are doing that is the be all end all of nature connection. It needs all the innovation. It needs us to be open and creative, and we need to keep changing with it so that this work can continue to be relevant. And my heart of hearts, my hope is that it continues to pull forward into a way of being on this planet where life is sustainably able to survive, where there's harmony and compassion for beings, humans and more than human alike, where we live with an earth orientation of what does the earth need from us, our actions, our decisions. That is what fuels me. That's what fuels me when I work with other practitioners and help them to create their own work, weaving together their experiences, their trainings, their personal and professional goals. And that is what I would offer, to ask yourself, how can you be resilient and adaptable in more ways perhaps than you have been? Or in what ways have you already been resilient and adaptable, and how has it really helped you out? And this is a conversation I think we need to be having professionally as nature connection practitioners. And I'm really honored to be a part of that, and look forward to chatting with you all down the road.